but how to get there or even convey that, it just fails. Dormitibus just left me more confused than anything else. For the most part, I enjoyed the experience, but writing this video, I can't lie, I've been stumped and confused more often than not, often having to go back and rewrite different parts just to make sure what I'm saying is accurate. So yeah, Dormitibus from a gameplay standpoint, it's alright, but from literally every other angle, this is just not it. So I'm gonna leave it there. Be sure to join the Discord for updates on stuff I'm doing. Thank you, of course, to the lovely channel members who've shown support. I'll see you guys in another 8 months.
Meanwhile, in the Instacart app.
Wouldn't it be magical to not pay a markup? You deserve that.
No, the ad song, dude. What am I watching now? What should I watch? Sure, Matt.
I have to solve the mysteries behind Geometry Dash's greatest rivalry. A battle which ended several years ago when the top competitor, Cycling, confessed to cheating all of his accomplishments. His biggest rival, Riot, was shocked.
No, it cannot be real. I've been competing with a hacker the whole time.
Everyone was astonished, left with more questions than answers. Has Cyclic betrayed everyone? Who is truly the best Geometry Dash player? Over the years, these questions would seemingly be answered, and millions have been told a legend that always ends the same way, with Riot as the undisputable victor. For a long time, certain details about this story seemed off to me, and as I started investigating, more and more questions seemed to be unanswered. But you probably have a question of your own. Why do thousands of people care about this rivalry in a casual mobile platformer so much? Well, it all started in August of 2013. Geometry Dash just came out on the App Store, and instantly some of the first rivalries would form. Not between the game's top players, but in the schoolyard.
My friend found Geometry Dash on the App Store, and he was like, let's race on this game. We competed to beat all the main levels first.
However, over time, as the online Geometry Dash player community developed, there began to be two new main types of rivalries. Competitions between top players that would take everything to the next level. Our investigation begins in the Geometry Dash World Cafe, a primarily Korean forum of players where Cyclic would first appear. While Cyclic must have quickly realized that he had to work hard if he wanted to be the best, he probably didn't realize that everyone at the top was a cheater. When RobTop introduced the Demon difficulty in the star leaderboards, many players of the GW forum started taking GD very seriously.
It provides an in-game incentive for people to improve. If you ended up number 1 on the star leaderboard or the creator leaderboard, everybody would know your name.
To get recognition, many people cheated to create and complete the hardest levels in the game. Another creator, Sono924, used an exploit to verify the Hell series. 4 levels so difficult that they were not only demons, but considered by many to be extreme demons. By this time, demons were so difficult that players had to separate them into different tiers. The easiest at the bottom, with the insane and extreme demons sitting at the top. Only one player was capable of beating these extreme demons. This player was Seri. Nowadays, most people know him as a hacker, not only because of his improbable achievements like the Hell Zone and Red World, but also because of his impossible achievement, the completion of Hate War. An impossible level that Seri released onto the servers for a few days before realizing his mistake and quickly deleting it. Seri was number 1 in the star leaderboard for months, beating more levels than anyone else. There were actual skilled players, but it seemed inevitable that they would all be overshadowed by Seri until the end of time. At least that was true, until Cyclic set his sights on the number 1 position. During this era, it's hard to tell if Cyclic was already a hacker. While he beat insane demons like Ice Cream and ranked number 2 behind Seri, he didn't do anything unrealistic. On the other hand, the hacker community posted and claimed to beat dozens of unrealistically difficult levels. I think if Cyclic did hack, I would have seen at least one suspicious poster claim from him. But I never did. I guess you could argue that his ability to consistently compete with a hacker was kind of weird. Surprisingly, Cyclic was able to dethrone Seri multiple times, and he finally got to experience what it was like to be a top player. While Seri briefly reclaimed his throne, all the controversies had largely caught up to him. Seri decided to quit Geometry Dash out of frustration with the community's continuous allegations. Unfortunately for Cyclic, his chance of returning to the top was thwarted. Due to data loss, he would never be number 1 again. But this actually didn't matter. By this time, the community believed that the best GD player wasn't determined by who had the most stars, but rather who could slay the hardest demons. At the start of 2015, G-Boy released Cataclysm under controversial circumstances. I set out to investigate this level, as it was fated to begin Geometry Dash's greatest rivalry.
With up to 420 kilometers of all-electric range, the Hyundai Kona electric SUV has the power to take you anywhere. And
Everybody, including myself, was confused because the preview videos were really quality. They would slow up and speed down, and it was really weird. The level randomly came out one day, and everybody started getting suspicious because he sent a screenshot of him having 80,000 attempts to verify it.
Even if G-Boy was a hacker, that would just make the accomplishment of beating Cataclysm all the more impressive. Over the following months, multiple cheaters would attempt to fabricate videos of themselves beating Cataclysm. However, these videos had flaws that investigators were quick to notice.
There was a lot of people who were doing it because it was so easy back then. You used Cheat Engine to slow the game down and fix it in editing. But there were some things that people did not know that people like Michigan taught me about. And this was a way that you could spot all these cheaters, and they had no idea, which was the orb pulsing thing.
Orbs and pulsing objects changed to the song's volume. Some hackers were caught when their pulses didn't match legitimate recording. This happened because back in the day, speed hacks didn't change sound speed. Cheaters try to account for this by editing the song into the video, but that can't hide the pulses going crazy for no reason. Another way people faked completions was splicing.
So if there was a saw in view when somebody did a splice, there would be saws changing directions mid-gameplay, which was dead giveaway. The prickly branches that get used in Theory of Everything, those are randomly generated every attempt, I'm pretty sure. And so if you splice, you can also see those branches, they will change.
In reality, pretty much everyone struggled to survive Cataclysm. By March, many top players had dropped out of the race, leaving only 4 people who seemed capable. Interested spectators formed their own demon lists.
The demon list is basically just a ranking of the most difficult levels.
Players who got impressive records on these levels could submit their replays and get recognition from the community. At the top of this list was Cyclic, who had beaten 7 of the hardest demons. He frequently posted progress updates on Cataclysm, and word of his skill began to spread far outside the Korean community.
He rarely streamed. He'd never used webcam for his videos or like any audio. Like I didn't know what he sounded like. It was kind of like ominous, like a mysterious dude that was godlike at the game.
On the other hand, Riot was already well known for challenging Aeon Air to see who could beat Deadly Clubstep first. Most expected Aeon to win, as he had far more experience, while Riot was yet to prove he could even beat a hard demon. Eventually, after thousands of fails between the two players, a winner was decided.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god!
If he wanted to complete something, he was very determined on doing it, and like nothing would distract him. He was like just a cold-blooded player.
Needless to say, Riot was competitive, and he was looking to prove himself against Cyclic. By this time, Geometry Dash was released on Steam. Mobile players who switched noticed an improvement in their skills now that GD was more consistent and responsive. Among these players, Giron would improve the most from the Switch. He streamed attempts of Cataclysm for dozens of hours on Twitch. His chat was hyped because he was getting closer and closer to the end. The closest to this end was Sandstorm, who surprisingly held the world record for Cataclysm despite only having 2 of the hardest demons completed. The final 20% is the easiest part of Cataclysm by far. As the best player, Cyclic should have had no trouble passing it. I guess the pressure got to him. So close, yet so far. Riot, Sandstorm, and Giron would use this opportunity to catch up, but unexpectedly, Cyclic once again clawed his way to the last wave.
I remember I was super upset when Cyclic beat Cataclysm first.
This unbelievable run changed everything. RobTop himself said there was no evidence of this accomplishment being hacked, and Cyclic would be world-renowned as the undisputed best player. While the player base believed someone would eventually catch up to Cyclic, I bet nobody expected Andromeda to be that someone, except for maybe Andromeda himself. In less than 2 weeks, Andromeda went from beating easy demons to somehow creating and verifying his own insane demon called Poltergeist. This level was part of a huge trend where creators would copy the flashing lights effect from 9 circles and paste it into their own levels. Of the dozens of levels inspired by 9 circles, Poltergeist was the most difficult. Andromeda wasn't even competing to beat Cataclysm. Rather, he chose to do something far more ambitious. Develop and verify the new hardest extreme demon.
Oh, the ultimate page.
Black Friday is on now at Marks. From November 27th to December 3rd, save up to 70% in-store and online. Great deals with new offers on winter boots, jackets, jeans, and more.
You're seeing right now is the ultimate phase, a map handcrafted by 15 creators to be difficult enough to challenge Cataclysm. This was Andromeda's chance to prove he was one of the greats.
He was beating all the hard levels, just like me, just like Cyclic.
Everybody was talking about Andromeda and his exponential skill increase. There were growing suspicions around his accomplishments. Could someone really turn from OK player to extreme demon slayer in less than 3 weeks? No one found evidence of foul play, so apparently the answer was yes. It was at this point in the investigation where I started noticing a pattern with Cyclic's personality, a trait that would eventually lead to his downfall. I personally see it as an addiction to being the best. After all, every time his reign was threatened, he directly responded with a counter to that specific player. Unfortunately for Andromeda, he was now Cyclic's target. Using his insider knowledge on the ultimate phase, Cyclic was able to complete the demon in just 4 days, leading many to believe that Andromeda's crowning achievement was not even as hard as Cataclysm, a level which more and more people were starting to complete. Following Giron's impressive victory, he was enlisted to verify the insane demon, Ultrasonic. After thousands of attempts, Giron, along with his Twitch chat, celebrated the level's completion. However, this celebration was short-lived as just 4 hours later, Cyclic would post his own completion of Ultrasonic, claiming that it took him fewer than 1,000 attempts. While this happened, Riot scrambled to be the 3rd victor of Cataclysm, and on the 20th of May, he'd get this insane run. What he didn't know is that
I beat the level literally an hour earlier than Riot. I feel like a huge weight off my shoulders because I've just been grinding the level for months and months.
Placing at a lacking 4th, Riot would gain a hunger to prove himself.
Yes,
So
okay.
after I beat Cataclysm,
So that's
basically
81 to
the conversation
100.
happened where it was like, okay, I beat the hardest thing, now what's